non-Jewish, let alone becoming secular. A lot of, and this is something I completely disagree with, but like a lot of ultra religious people literally mourn their children who are no longer religious or go off and marry other people. And that to me is completely absurd. I mean, most people don't do it, but like there's certain ultra
Yeah,
religious
the
people who do.
Orthodox.
Yeah. And I look, on the one hand, I can understand because you have a child and you have your beliefs and you want your child to follow what you believe in, and you want it's a huge part of your life and your child is a huge part of your life, so you want it's a difficult situation. And I once dated, I was in a relationship with someone who wasn't Jewish, and it was a huge deal for my family. My family isn't even super religious, at least not my close family. So it's just it brings up a lot of tension of, also I think it's very new to the world. I think it's something very like very new, especially here. And it's it's just a very sensitive, it's just, again, it's a very sensitive issue
Mm.
because it impacts the family dynamics. And it's, let's say a chat, like if you take a Christian and Muslim couple and they haven't had this conversation, and the father does want it to be solely Muslim, and but the mother's family wants to celebrate Christmas, they want to celebrate Easter or whatever other religion, whatever other holiday, but the father's not willing. So that causes a lot of
Mm.
issues. Or even with just us over here, like even with just couples that are, one's religious and one isn't, that can also cause a lot of tension of between, you know, keep it, observing the Sabbath or the different holidays or
Mm.
whatever it is. And it's just, it creates a lot of tension, especially when you don't talk about it. And so it just builds.
Exactly. I have a couple like like two friends that are in a relationship with each other, and
Yeah.
she's Protestant, quite like, not extremely like over like religious of like, to the maximum, but she's, she goes to mass and goes to church and has
Yeah.
her Bible study group, like, you know she's
Yeah.
quite involved, and he's atheist. So, this
Mm.
isn't our guys who kind of just like, don't really think about it. He's thought
Yeah.
about it. He grew up in a Catholic household and he's now atheist. And they've been together, I think, we were talking about it the other day. I think they've been together for 4 years, like coming on to 4 years or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, not every day, but it is a conversation they have like very regularly about, it is one of the very sore points in their relationship. And the reason why they work is because neither of them want kids, and so
Yeah.
it kind of takes the pressure off, because all they want is to have to share their life together. All
Mm-hmm.
they want, but they're not conflicted about, about giving those beliefs to somebody else, and and raising a family and things like that. Like, they just want to be in a relationship, which, works for them. It has been working for them up till now, but I know that it's a constant conversation because she's not taking it lightly. Like, she knows, she
Yeah.
believes in God, she has this clear vision of what life and the afterlife are, which is in direct opposition to what he believes,
Yeah.
and that and it's just this whole thing. And they have all, and they it's an everyday conversation. It's something that at the beginning of their relationship, like, was a big conversation, because they just needed to be clear on what was, okay to talk
Mm-hmm.
about, not so okay, things like that. So here I'm like, they barely know each other. He's religious, she's not so religious, but if she had to choose, it would be a completely different one. And they're raising a kid, and that, well, not she's pregnant, so, you know, not raising a kid, but they're considering raising a kid together without having had this very complicated conversation.
Yeah, it is a complicated conversation, and a lot of times we avoid it because we don't want to deal with it, but it's such a crucial conversation to have. I mean, talking about now your friend who has an atheist partner and they don't want kids, which is fine, but even without kids, this is something that you constantly have to talk about, because, you know, it impacts a lot of your lifestyle, of how you live in your house. Like, you know, again, in Judaism, we have like this whole the kosher aspect. So like, we don't mix dairy and milk, dairy and meat.
Yeah.
So, you know, if a couple's living together and one is completely secular and the other's really religious, then that means like the person who's secular has to be considerate to not, you know, mix up the dishes, not eat meat and milk, or I don't know, shrimps in the house, or bacon, or whatever it is, or to even on the Sabbath, not to turn on lights, not to use electricity, not to watch TV. There's a lot of like, for every religion it's different. They have different examples.
Yeah.
And so it does impact your lifestyle. So as long as you keep having these conversations and you're able to create a system that works for you, then it's then great. But if you're not talking about it and you're just tippy-toeing around the topic, then it's going to end up exploding. And I think I have a cousin who she's religious, comes from a religious family, and she married someone who is secular. And I'm not sure how much they spoke about the topic or about the issue, but they ended up getting a divorce because they just couldn't find the way to make it work. Like, just an example, like he wouldn't go to her family's home for Friday night supper, for the Shabbos meal, as we call it, because he just felt super uncomfortable in that environment. He felt like maybe he was being like manipulated into trying to observe. And it's just, it's such a stressful way to have a relationship, because this is her life. She just wants her husband to come eat with her family without making such a big deal out of it. Or maybe she does want a husband who's observing the way that she is. And because, you know, for a lot of people, they love the religion and they want to share it with someone. So again, these conversations are important to understand how much you want, how much it impacts the relationship and your life and everything, and your life together and everything.
Yeah. I mean, it is, you know, what we say every single episode. I feel it's like communication and you know, and love. And I'm sorry, love does not conquer all. It conquers a lot.
It doesn't.
I feel that love conquers trauma. It conquers like cheating. It conquers distance. It conquers illness. It conquers illness, you know, as in people, like, it gives you the strength to fight and things like that. Like, it will conquer a lot. But, you know, something that's deeper than love is your belief system and your values. And what I tell people is just like, you need to make sure that you know what your values are and check in with them regularly, because that's the only way that you'll kind of have a relationship that works. And they need to be, you know, the values that are, you know, these really like deep rooted values, not superficial. Like, they need to be good looking. They need to, like, but what are your, you know, what do you believe, you know? And it takes a long time. And like, you know, my values, like, I believe that you need proximity and hard work. Like, you know, things don't just happen. Like, you know, that you know, things don't come easily. I believe, you know, my core belief is just, you know, you need to work at something that you need to want. Like, I don't believe that things need to be difficult for them be worth obtaining. Like that's a whole different thing. But I
Yeah.
need, I work hard and I don't feel good when I'm not working hard. And that's the whole thing. And and my spirituality, like, I mean, those are these
Yeah.
core beliefs. And if JT turns out to be somebody that doesn't work hard, my love for him is not going to conquer that. And that's already happened once.
No.
My first relationship, he, and it was not even ambition, but like we fundamentally disagreed on how to make our careers develop, and like moving away from our families and things like that. Like he needed to be next door to his mother type of thing, and
Yeah.
have like this chill life with just like the minimum of everything, which is fine for some people, but it wasn't okay for me. And he didn't work hard at all. He just did the bare minimum, which worked for him. But it came to a point where, even though I loved him, I left him because I wasn't happy with him. And I'm glad that
Yeah.
I left him, and loads of things came to light. But love would not conquer what it was fundamentally opposed to my belief system. And can't, and when you're religious, I guess it's so much easier to know your belief system because it's written down,
Yeah.
your beliefs. And
Yeah.
it
It's
and I
nice.
believe that this, my friend's sister is in love with this man. I believe that she is.
Yeah.
But and I want to believe that haven't met them, but that he's also in love with her,
How old are they?
our age ish, early
Mm.
30s, late 20s.
Oh, so older. Okay. Like older than,
Yeah, they're not 20.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
older than 20.
and they should have this maturity, especially as
Yeah.
she had this long-term relationship that ended, and then has had another like midterm relationship since then. Like you'd think that after two, not failed relationships, but two kind of long relationships that have ended, you'd kind of know what to do and what not to do. um but hey.
Yeah, I think on the one hand, I can understand her because